It's question and answer time. My name is Fabian Klaus and I am joined by my colleague Joyette Garraway, a tax specialist in the GRA's Tax Advisory Services section. In this edition of Question in Focus, we'll be dealing with the return of deductions of taxes by an employer. Most employers know this as the Form 5. It is what they submit on a monthly basis when they're deducting PAYE from their employees. Joyette, welcome to our program.
Thank you.
So we're dealing with the Form 5, or the return of deduction of taxes by an employer. Someone wanted to know, and this is an employer because they're the ones who do this on a regular basis. The information on this return, the Form 5, it's incorrect for 2 months in 2016. How do they correct this information given that they would have already filed the return and the period has passed?
Okay, that employer can submit an amended return. They first need to prepare a letter of explanation to the Commissioner General, and in that letter they'll explain exactly what the mistake was in the previous return or in the return that they have already submitted. Then they can make an amendment or submit an amended return and make the corrections in that return. They will attach that amended return to the letter of explanation and submit it to our central registration unit at the GRA on the ground floor. Also, if that mistake has to do with taxes, if the PAYE was not computed correctly, say for instance an overpayment was made or over deduction, in the next return that is required to submit or that is due, they can make that adjustment and pay less in that next return. And the opposite will apply if it is a case where they under-deducted taxes from the employee. Then the next return that they submit, they can pay the balance.
So you have two options.
Yes.
Okay, so we're still talking about the Form 5, or the return of deductions of taxes by an employer. And there are some specific details to look for in the Form 5. Of course, we ask for their TIN, we ask for the name, the income deducted, the NIS, contributions of employees, income tax deducted. And there's one that's somehow very striking, statutory deduction. When we speak of that, what are we referring to?
Okay, the statutory allowance is that portion of the individual's income that is not taxable by law, as it is stipulated in the Income Tax Act. For the year 2016, the year we are in right now, the statutory allowance is $660,000 for the year.
Which is $55,000
right,
a
which
month.
is $55,000 a month. Therefore, if there is an individual earning $660,000 annually or $55,000 monthly, that person would not be required to pay taxes on their income.
Always important to remember. And also, what is also very important to remember is that these PAYE submissions must be made 14th of every month.
Yes, on or before the 14th of every month for the deductions done the previous month. Yes.
Always important to remember, employers, and ensure that you submit at the earliest possible time to avoid that congestions and the penalties as well that some of them often face. Those are all the questions as it relates to the Form 5s. But before we go, there is one other that came to our attention. Someone said, I'm a contractor who recently submitted a bid for a tender with a government agency. I was advised that tax compliance from the GRA is required. What are the requirements for this type of compliance?
Okay, the type of compliance that taxpayer is referring to is the compliance that is issued for the purpose of a tender. For that particular compliance, the taxpayer would be required to submit an application form, a compliance application form. They'll be required to pay all outstanding taxes, also submit all outstanding returns, We will also need a copy of their ID, the ID card, or if they're going to use their passport, the biodata page. We need a copy of the biodata page. In the case where their taxes are outstanding and that person has a payment arrangement or has entered into a payment arrangement with the GRA, we will issue the compliance once the installments are up to date. So once they've been honoring their arrangement, the payment arrangement that they have with the GRA, we'll still issue the compliance even though taxes are outstanding or taxes remain outstanding.
And again, reaffirming that tax compliance is one of the key prerequisites. You must be up to date with your tax payments. Those are all the questions. I certainly hope that we were able to answer the questions specifically to the contractor. And if you have other questions, feel free to contact us at the numbers listed at the end of the program.